Longest bridge in Melbourne. It's quite impressive. So they finished this bridge off in the 1970s. It carries a lot more vehicles than what it was originally designed to as well. But yeah, on our right hand side we have the Port of Melbourne. So this is the largest importing and exporting port system that we have within Australia at the moment. We've also got the Docklands just behind us as well, and you can see the city of Melbourne with the hot air balloons going over the top. Down to the left hand side, if you follow the coast down with your eyes, we've got St Kilda, which is one of the most heavily populated areas that we have in Melbourne. So this is Port Phillip Bay that we're heading over at the moment. So this is where all of our ships come through. So it's very narrow and shallow in some of these parts, and it's very narrow at the end of the port system as well. So they employ people called pilots, which drive on their own little boats, and they climb aboard other people's ships and they steer them into the port system. Yeah. So Melbourne itself, it was officially a city in 1835. It started off with a very small population size of mainly just sheep farmers and wool production, that sort of thing. And then in the 1850s, people started to discover that there was a lot of gold around the city. So later on in the 1850s, they managed to find around about $87 billion worth of gold. So after that happened, lots of people started coming into Melbourne to try and make a little bit of money for themselves. So we had people coming from all over the world. We had a lot of people from China, America, India, all over Africa, Vietnam, to try and make a little bit of money in the gold fields. So because there was so much gold going around, Melbourne later became the richest city in the world. So if you go into any of our really old buildings, you can see how ornate and over the top they are. So yeah, very rich history there. So before 1835, before Victoria was officially a state, it was what we call a penal colony. So people came here from mainly England and Ireland as convicts. So there were people that had committed menial crimes, like they'd stolen a horse or a loaf of bread, and they were forced to come here, well, to all around Australia, just to pretty much build the infrastructure of the city. So our first settlement was in a place called Sorrento, which is at the bottom of Mornington Peninsula. Started in the very early 1800s. They eventually ran out of water and had to move to Tasmania. So we're all a little bit badass. So nowadays Melbourne's still going pretty strong. We've got a population of about 4.2 million people. We're the second largest city in Australia after Sydney. Yeah, so for the last couple of years we've been voted the world's most livable city as well. So we've got, our population is growing really fast at the moment as well. It's predicted by 2050 our population will reach about 10 million people. So if you have a look around the houses as we're cruising out of the city, you'll notice that there's a lot more infrastructure that's been built to accommodate for these 10 million people that are supposed to be. Melbourne's going to sprawl out a little bit. Alright, so we're going to be cruising down this highway for around about another hour or so. Our next stop will be a toilet stop, so we're going to be stopping in a town called Anglesey. As we get a little bit closer to the Great Ocean Road, I'll give you guys a bit of a history of it, why it's so important to us as well. So if you just want to sit tight and relax and enjoy the beautiful freeway, I'll let you know when we're getting a bit closer.